Hello and welcome to the Champions League winning Aston Villa Park podcast, and it is our 500th video. Thank you all so much for your support, and what a way to bring it in style with our fans forum Champions League reaction special. So make sure you're smashing that like button, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. We've had loads of subscribers over the last few days, which is amazing. We're getting very close to 4,700. You know we're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. So help us get there by liking, subscribing. Keep your comments coming in as well. Obviously, we're going to react to last night's game. We're going to talk performances. We're going to talk future for the Champions League for Villa, because at one point we were top of this league ladder. So what does it mean for the rest of the comp? And obviously, we're going to get your comments and questions. And stay tuned. Towards the end, we're going to give you details of a special giveaway for our 500th show. So stay tuned right for the full show as we will tell you how you can enter to win. Martin, how are you doing, mate? After a weekend of partying and seeing comeback victories, and then back to Ireland to see Villa win 3-0 in the Champions League. A whirlwind few days for you, mate.
I'm on cloud nine. I'm on cloud nine these last few days. And funny enough, not even just that. When we got into Solihull, I was walking the Solihull shopping centre with my brother, and someone who works in Sky, I think his name was Wayne, that had on the badge. He was like, "You do the podcast, don't you?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "What?" Because I just stopped for a second, and he was like, "Yeah, the Villa Park podcast. You, Rich, Kev, George, all the boys." I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." And then we were talking for a few minutes, and my brother was kind of like just stood back, and he was like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" He was actually telling the truth when he gets stopped. And then we got into the stadium, and as I was coming back, someone else stopped me. Jean was her name. She says she's a really regular watcher. So if you're
Yeah,
watching here tonight,
yeah. She
pleasure to
commented
be
on
having you here.
the last show, mate, and she
Yeah,
said,
yeah. She was like, "Oh, how are you?" and everything else. You know, I was like, "Oh, I'm very good, thanks." And no, I was pleasant to her, and she was lovely. And when I walked back, my brother just looked at me, and goes, "Again." Really? Like, I was just like, here, it's not my fault I have a name here. I'll have to put on glasses to try and hide myself now, Chris. So it was a great experience. And to witness a comeback and to witness the John Darrow goal, lads, live was incredible. It was just a split second of nothing and then eruption. It was, no one could believe what happened. And from where I was standing in the whole end, so it was like the opposite direction of us all together. And seeing the ball going up and swerving down and away from Pickford's T-Rex arms was unbelievable. Like, it was just a brilliant game, brilliant atmosphere. When we went 1-0 down, I wasn't worried. 2-0 down, right, maybe a little bit shaky because I haven't never really lost every time I go to Villa Park. But when we got to go back, I felt, yeah, we're probably going to win this game because we were just so in control ever since. And then seeing Villa in the Champions League, I was sitting there jumping around in the sitting room. My dad was watching it with me, funny enough, and he was just like 3-0 in the first half. And then obviously Watkins' goal got disallowed, and he was like, "Oh, back to normal." So, and then when they went 3-0 up with Onana, my dad just kind of went, "Jeez, you're doing all right now, aren't you?"
Exactly. And I think that was the reaction from everyone. Like, this Champions League business is all right, isn't it, George? I mean, even for you, as the most rational of us on this podcast, you must have been getting a little bit carried away yesterday.
Oh yeah, of course, mate. God, it's all going a bit too well, isn't it? It's like we're thinking, God, Champions League, we've waited all these years, Premier competition. Yeah, Villa turn up and just piss it on day one, top of the league. We've completed it already. Great times, boys.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And if anyone hasn't caught my match reaction last night, I was just on absolute cloud nine. But yeah, I mean, just in general reflecting, I'll come to you first, George. Obviously, we'll get into some performances and we'll get into kind of the nuts and bolts, a little bit of the game and some of the tactics. But in terms of the draw, in terms of, I guess, a baptism into the tournament and the way the format that it is now, young boys away wasn't the worst of ties, was it really? In terms of standard of opposition, I think Adamski's mentioned there that they weren't the greatest. We weren't necessarily to know that, but bottom of their league in Switzerland, it was a decent draw for us, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be fair though, they're in the pot 3 and we're in pot 4, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a game, that on paper it should have been a tougher one for us. maybe we caught them at a good time. As you say there, they've had a tough start to their season. But yeah, looking at the teams we got, yeah, it's definitely a favourable draw. Sort of a nice way of sort of warming yourself up, isn't it? Sort of, getting yourself in before the huge test of Bayern Munich in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, we'll get onto that in a bit. But Martin, in terms of coming into the game, young boys on the artificial pitch, took the players a little bit of time, I guess, to get used to that, and it was always going to happen. But in terms of preparation, Unai Emery got the players training on it the night before. But you could even see that first 15, 20 minutes, it did take a little bit of time, didn't it, just to get used to the movement of the ball and judging the passes.
Yeah, one element will be the pitch, but then I think the biggest element for me really was probably the occasion to the players, because there was a lot of debuts for that team, like John McGinn, Ollie Watkins, Morgan Rogers, Jacob Ramsey, Ezri Konsa, Bogard. The list goes on for whoever came on and made their debut in the Champions League full time, never mind like for us, but just like full Champions League debut. The occasion will probably get to the head a little bit, I'm in the Champions League, the music playing before it would have got to the head for the first few minutes, which I was kind of expecting because young boys were, I felt, on top of us for probably the first 10, 15 minutes. Like, because the start probably wasn't the greatest. Yes, you could say it was the pitch, but I think for me personally, it was the occasion because, oh my God, we're in the Champions League. It didn't matter who we were against.
Yeah.
It was just that occasion. And then once that settled down, we then started to play our game. We then started to have a run at them. And then that's where we got our goal from Tielemans. That's when we got Ramsey. That's when we got Onana. That's when we start just opening them up. Once we calmed down, once we settled ourselves, and we just dominate and really didn't give them too many chances then.
100%, mate. 100%. With regards to that starting 11, George, same as played against Leicester. Me and Kev teased the idea of maybe one or two changes, Nedeljkovic, and obviously in our group we was talking about maybe, it's a little bit of a surprise that he hasn't freshened it up, but obviously it turned out in the end he made a change at half time, which we'll talk about in a bit. But in terms of starting 11, were you particularly surprised, or do you think it was, ultimately Emery was always going to play that starting lineup?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, to be fair. I mean, as we were saying, weren't we? I kind of expected maybe Maatsen, that he was pretty much a nailed-on starter for me. I thought, yeah, maybe Costa over on the other side. I don't know. I just thought, I mean, I know it's early days, but I just thought, we've now kind of got this squad ready for to go on these fronts. And I thought we might have used them a little bit more. But obviously, looking back now after the win, Emery's probably done the right thing. You shouldn't really be taking any chances, I guess, should you, on the first game, knowing that you've got Bayern Munich coming up next. So we've got the 3 points. No one's going to be burnt out just yet, and happy days. It all worked out. We won. There was Watkins, obviously. It looks like he had a bit of ice on his foot, didn't he? So I don't know whether he's picked up a knock, but otherwise they all look generally unscathed, and it was a good night for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you teased the idea, Martin, about the first goal, and that was the thing that kind of settled the nerves. We did have a chance before that. John McGinn hitting it just over from a knockdown from Ollie Watkins, and it was at that point when we started to think, you know what, we can actually play. We can actually get spaces in behind these, and that kind of opened up the game a little bit. But shout out to Austin McPhee. We gave him some grief last season, but he's certainly getting a tune out of these players on set pieces, and I don't think the inclusion of Amadou Onana into these corners can be understated, because so many players will be drawn to him getting the ball that it can almost be a decoy, and that's exactly what it was, with everyone just ball watching and Youri Tielemans being left at the back post for a free rein.
Yeah, it goes to show that if teams are going to just focus on Onana, we've got different ways to adapt in terms of getting a goal. We've seen that a little bit last season. I remember the goal against Luton that, it was a great ball into John McGinn, beats a player bottom corner. This was probably just another bit of a fine example where Digne and John McGinn play with each other. Digne puts in the cross, John McGinn gets it, makes that extra pass, and Tielemans was in acres of space. And typical number 8 finish, taking a touch and putting it into the bottom corner. of the net, and it was just a brilliant set piece goal. And you could just see the screen went straight to Austin McPhee as if he was the manager of the club or something, just going, yes, like a proud little project that he would do in school, which was absolutely great to see for him. And obviously everyone else was so jubilant about it. So it goes to show that they're always working on different things. It's not just one routine or this routine. There's so many elements and ways to score a goal that Austin McPhee can just seem to get a tune out with these players.
Absolutely. I mean, George, I don't know how much self-control Youri Tielemans had to display not to just think, I just want to welly this into the bottom corner, because he was winding up to hit the shot, and then the last split second he thought, no, I better control it. And obviously, I'm so glad that he made that decision, but he must have been so tempted just to volley that.
Yeah, he managed to rein himself in a bit because he can hit them, can't he? But yeah, fair play. Showed his composure and made sure he kept it, on target and put us in front. Yeah, great opening goal. And it was funny, they were saying obviously Tielemans wearing number 8. They were saying it. I think it was on one of the other podcasts. They were saying it was nice and poignant as if that was Gary Shaw's number, and then our number 8 manages to score the opening goal in our Champions League campaign.
Yeah. I mean, we'll obviously touch on that a bit later, and obviously Tielemans' just performance and his general performances
well,
across the season, and it was really fitting that he got the goal. And yeah, like you say, number 8, and I mean, it was just, again, it was almost like a pinch me moment again, Martin, that Villa are in the Champions League and we're scoring goals in the Champions League. I know it's good. I know that novelty will probably wear off a little bit, probably after the third or fourth game. But at the moment, it's just like this is just like what dreams are made of at the moment.
Yeah, like we're in with the big boys now. This is it. Like, so it didn't matter whether you were playing young boys or Slavian, like Sparta Prague or Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. It doesn't matter. This is the big boy league now because young boys have had plenty of years of experience in the Champions League. They've actually beaten Spurs and Man United at home, and Coventry goes and beats Spurs. So young boys are probably at Coventry's level, if you ask me. But this is it now. Like, this is what it is. And mine obviously kind of went away a little bit when Bayern Munich won 9-2 and we have to play them next. So I was kind of like, all right, yeah. Thanks, lads. Thanks for
Back
taking us
down
off top of the
to
table.
with a bump. Yeah. Oh, I thought I'd lost you there. I thought I'd lost you.
Right.
I was just saying, but yeah, definitely back down
just
to
went
earth
into a
with
big
bump.
pause. I didn't know what was going on for a second.
I thought someone had froze.
We had to take a minute.
Yeah, someone says that
So we're soaking
PJJ
into the Champions League. We're just soaking into the Champions League. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Spurs have equalised, by the way, people. So, come on, Coventry. Come on.
I forgot that was even on. Like same as you last night, Martin. Yeah, we don't worry about the League Cup anymore, do we?
No, not till next week when we.
For the small team, Man United was playing in it last night. Oh,
yeah. When Mings and Kamara are back, we'll worry about it then. But yeah, obviously it didn't take long, 10, 11 minutes until we kind of wrapped the game up really, and we had so many chances beyond that as well. But such a bizarre goal to make it 2-0, and George, one of our own, Jacob Ramsey, we kind of thought he was a little bit off it on Saturday, but yesterday's performance showed he was really determined, and we saw a lot of the old Ramsey back with that sharpness, with those quick turns, and he obviously got his goal as well, where he's quick thinking and yeah, fantastic for him.
Yeah, he was much more like himself yesterday, wasn't he? As we said early on in there, once we did start running at young boys after our tentative start, we literally, God, that was an absolute smashing in that for like half an hour in that first half. We could have had 5 or 6. I thought every time we went forward, we looked a massive threat. You got to give a shout out to the ref, I think, on that goal, because like the keepers took out Watkins, isn't he? And you're thinking, oh, we're going to get a penalty here. But fair play, ref's giving himself a little second, isn't he, to see what unfolds. And eventually, Ramsey's put the ball in the net, and the refs thought, we might as well just give the goal here, save messing around. And it was a good decision. And at 2-0, the game pretty much felt done and dusted from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it could have been even better. Martin, if with Ollie Watkins, and I felt he had quite a quiet opening to the game, but then really grew into it. And deserved a goal. He was getting on the end of things, but they were blocking and putting last-ditch tackles in. He had one where he went through off a Morgan Rogers flick, and it just got under his feet. And then you're thinking, right, this one hits the shot, it gets blocked, it comes back to him, he chests it down. It looked like a handball initially, but then when the replays show, it looks just a chest, and then volleys it into the top corner. Thinking, right, brilliant, 3-0 Champions League goal for Ollie Watkins, but gets chalked out for a handball again. And for me, maybe it's flicked the end of his finger, but it's very harsh.
Yeah, and I was surprised by how quick they made that decision, because when they were showing the replay on the telly, the angles didn't look the best. Like there was one angle where it was kind of like away from him, like you couldn't see the ball, just looked like it hit it. And then when you see the angle where you're looking at it, and there's no conclusive evidence to say that that's a handball. There needs to be an angle where they're able to tell that's hit a handball. And if you can't, like, this is what VAR is for, with this like clear and obvious errors, and that wasn't a clear and obvious error. And it was a brilliant finish, by the way. And for that to be chalked off and so quickly as well, I was kind of like, I think it's rushed that decision. They should have taken their time, taken a minute or two, and if they can't come to a decision, that's when you stick to the on-field decision. It just kind of felt like they kind of brushed it aside. Oh yeah, looks like it's hit his hand. Let's go. And it was just unfortunate for him, but it kind of goes to show that even if the goal got disallowed, he put his name on a score sheet, just to keep competition going between him and Duran, which is the main thing. Like, so Emery's probably not too concerned whether the goal was disallowed. He would have seen that as, right, he got a goal, it got disallowed, but he still put himself in the score sheet. He still put himself in a good position for the next game or the game after.
Yeah. I mean, I think Martin's probably right there, George. Unless they've got another angle that they could conclusively see that it hit his hand, it is kind of. I thought the directive was to go with what the referee said more. I don't know whether that's the same in the Champions League. Well, that's certainly the rule in the Premier League, and it just seemed a little bit of a rushed decision. We'll talk about the other disallowed goal shortly, but this Watkins one, I thought, I couldn't see anything conclusive to say they should have overturned it.
No, me neither. It was all too fast, wasn't it? I think maybe because we just scored the goal before or whatever, everyone was still in a bit of a flux maybe. But it certainly caught the CNT lot off guard, didn't it? I mean, they didn't change that 3 bracket to 2, back to 2 for about another minute after that. Like McCoist and whoever else was on the commentary, and I think it was Darren Fletcher, they were saying, like, they couldn't believe the goal had been ruled out. So, yeah, it's a bit of a shame, really. It kind of, pissed on our fireworks a little bit briefly, didn't it? But obviously we went on and eventually got another one in the end.
Exactly. And look, the second half, I thought we were completely in control. Made a substitution at half time. We'll touch on, one or two of the performances in a second, but wrapping up the kind of second half, I think talking points, Duran coming on again, looking sharp. I mean, that was his finish on Saturday. You've already described it, Martin, and being live in the ground was phenomenal, but just the way he's taking these chances at the moment, again, regardless of the goal being disallowed, which that was more of a handball by Onana, but the length of time between the handball and the goal is crazy. But the way he just finished that shot, I mean, it just oozes absolute class.
Yeah, I mean, do you lads ever remember playing Pro Evolution Soccer on the PlayStation, and when you just see a player hit a shot and you just glides along the ground into the bottom corner? That was what that goal looked like, and such a finish. Like, don't get me wrong, the Onana handball was a handball, but I was just surprised by how far back they brought it. Like, how was the ref to know from the position Onana was in, and then for Aston Villa to go up and score a goal in the way that they did? It felt like a good minute or so for that to happen. And like I said, that decision, in fairness, it is a handball, but the decision was fairly quick, probably because the handball was so obvious. But at the same time, common sense should have been used. It says, right, it's a handball, but it was a different phase of play. It went into a different phase of a game. Therefore, the handball's gone. Like, that's the way it is. That handball did not lead to a goal in the eyes of the law in the game, and that's what these referees are supposed to be doing. And clearly, in the 2 decisions of the goals, they haven't happened. So it just goes to show that maybe these decisions are probably just being a little bit rushed for game flow because of, the way we're adding on every second now for any stoppages there is. So maybe referees are rushing decisions a little bit. But, I don't mind if they take a minute to
Well,
look at a decision.
he went to look at the screen as well, and yeah, I mean, maybe they've taken that into consideration. Did young boys have an opportunity to win the ball at any point? I mean, the pass from Duran that could have got blocked out. The pass out to Ramsey could have got blocked out. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know, but it was a beautiful finish nonetheless. And
It was a conspiracy because they were well aware that I had Duran next goal, and I was off the sofa thinking I was quids in without seeing the handball. So yeah, it was always going to be disallowed, that one.
Are you paying the rest wages, George? 'Cause I'm starting to think that was happening as well. You probably had Aston Villa as a -2 just to feed yourself a little bit.
Did you have any yellow cards on as well last night?
Oh yeah. So just before our third, Martinez was starting to play up. Did you notice? He was wasting his time on the goal kicks.
Yeah.
So I'm literally, I've got an eye for spotting when he's about to get booked usually. So I've seen the chance, I've seen the odds, and I'm trying to get the bet on. I've got my little girl like demanding I put Peter Rabbit on the TV. I've got my little dog with the bloody tennis ball in his mouth trying to play ball. I'm trying to get the bet on because I can see Martinez is about to get booked. So I'm like, I just need to sort this bet out. I'm going to win here. And then we just go and we then go just after go and get the third goal and killed the game. And then obviously didn't need it, but it was coming for sure. So
I thought
it's a hard luck night for me.
I thought you were going to say, before you said my daughter wanted Peter Rabbit on, I thought you were going to say my daughter wanted me to put a tenner on as well.
I actually thought your daughter was going to put a tenner on as well, the way you were going on with this story.
Yeah. Put a tenner on for me, Dad.
Yeah.
I know I'm not old enough. I know I'm not old enough just yet, but please, just for me, I'll collect it when I'm 18.
Yeah, to get the piggy bank.
In the trust fund. Gene saying hi, all just joining late. Hi, Martin. Great to see you in the Holt End. Thanks for the mention.
Yeah.
There you go. See, there you go. But George, we'll have to wait too long to seal the game and get that third goal, as you say, despite you thinking that you might need to put that bet onto Emi Martinez wasting time. But step up Amadou Onana for another goal, and a spectacular one at that. I mean, what an absolute rocket of a finish, as Martin's called it. And this guy, right, scored 4 goals in his whole Everton career. And he's now got 3 goals in 5 appearances for Aston Villa. What has happened to Amadou Onana?
Austin McPhee.
I don't know, mate. It's great to see, isn't it? I mean, I'm pretty sure when we bought him, the idea wasn't that he was going to be a free scoring central midfielder, but we're all here for it now with the way he's playing. I don't know. A team's not just. I mean, it's not going to last for long, is it? Because the more he does this, the more people are going to be more aware of it and defenses and stuff. But at the minute, he seems to be getting a lot of space to hit these shots from range, and he's got quite the shot on him, hasn't he? And yeah, that was a great strike, rocket straight into the back of the net, and it was job done and good night.
Exactly. Just brilliant, just absolutely brilliant, and he's really endeared himself to the Villa fans, Martin, doing his old like cheering to the crowd when they kind of egg him on to do that cheer, and he's proper taken to the fans, and he seems to have took John Duran under his wing as well. They seem to have a bit of a bromance going. I mean, I don't think this kind of, what's the word, this kind of signing or this marriage of Onana and Aston Villa could have gone any better.
No, it couldn't. It's just brilliant so far. His dominance, his physical presence, his aerial presence as well, and the way he just holds the ball out, he was able to move it, and clearly now not afraid to take a shot from range. I think that was probably a bromance thing with Duran as well. He was probably saying to him before the game, anything you can do, I can do.
Yeah.
Clearly he's putting it there in the bottom corner, and it was a great finish as well. Just, his confidence is booming so far, and I'd be, and I'm not a betting man, but I'd be putting a punt on him to probably get a goal himself on the weekend.
Mate, that'd be incredible. He'd be, he's joint top scorer for the team at the moment. Him and Duran are on some little mad competition. Let's talk about a few performances, and let's get one of the, I guess, slightly uncomfortable performances out of the way. Lamar Bogard in at right back. George had a little bit of a tough time. They're clearly targeting him. Is this a good learning experience for him to kind of, show that clearly teams are going to target the younger, inexperienced player? So he's obviously, hopefully, going to benefit from this. But are you thinking he's finding it just that little bit more difficult?
Yeah, I would go along with that. I mean, he's played what we had. Is that 4 now? Has he played 4 or 3? It's his 3rd game on the bounce.
Third game on the bounce, yeah.
Yeah, and and he's done all right, but he's found it tough going. I'd say in all the games. I think Unai's got him in there for his size. Really, he seems to like a bigger right back. I think the sub was the right one. I mean, me and Martin, we said, didn't we, on the group at the time? We said, great sub Unai, because he's getting a bit of a, especially in the early stages yesterday, he was really getting a bit of a roasting down there. But he's a young kid, and I think he'd take his. He's not going to be crying about it, is he? Starting for Aston Villa,
Exactly.
it's a tough spot, but he's had a go, hasn't he? And he hasn't let us down in any way. I mean, nothing's gone in from him, has it yet? But yeah, I'm not sure going forward it's going to last too much longer. But fair play to him. Hopefully he'll get his chance. Maybe in his favoured position going forward at some stage.
Yeah, and I think a few people in the comments have said, he's not a right back. Adam says he's not a fullback. We need to stop playing him there. PJJ said our right side is the weaker defensively. Young boys weren't the first to try and use that. And I think a few people have commented about, Bogard at the start, but something that he'll probably will benefit from. But do you think it might be a stage of potentially using Costa Nedeljkovic, or with Carlos coming on and doing pretty well, barring one sort of sloppy pass last night, Martin? Do you think it'll go back to Carlos at centre back and Konza at right back?
It is a possibility, but I did see that Konza is in a position where he kind of say he doesn't want to play right back anymore. He's more comfortable playing centre back. But at the same time, when you've only got Mings coming back from an injury, Matty Cash is now out injured, and these 2 young lads in Nedeljkovic and Bogard, Konza's kind of going to have to make a sacrifice just for a little bit, maybe for a few weeks, till Cash gets back and plays in that right back role, because we actually looked a lot more comfortable when Carlos, Pau Torres, Ndina, and Konza were there on that pitch together, because they didn't get too many chances in the second half. Then I don't even think they actually got a chance in the second half. We were just so dominant.
Just the one from Carlos's bad pass. That was
yes,
it.
that was the one. Sorry, yes, you're right. That was the only chance they had, and even at that, we were so comfortable on the ball without it. We weren't giving too much away apart from the sloppy pass from Carlos, but I did feel that we were so much more comfortable with Carlos, obviously, at centre back with Torres, because Bogard was probably getting a little bit exposed and was stretching Konza out, which in all hindsight is not ideal for Konza, because then there's runs in behind him in front of Torres, and that was kind of happening in the first 15, 20 minutes. And then when Emery made the sub, and like you said, George, we both said it straight away, that was the sub to make, because Emery has shown in the past, not even just in this game, but in the past, he is not afraid to make a halftime sub if something's not going right in a particular area of the pitch. So goes to show he might have plan A for 45 minutes, but when he sees something's not coming right, plan B just comes into effect like straight away. He doesn't take any chances, doesn't say, I'll give you 5 more minutes or I'll give you 10 more minutes. No, straight away, plan B, boom. And that was the way to do it.
100%.
How long till Cash comes back, lads? Do we know?
No,
Sorry?
I don't know about Cash, and obviously I don't. Philogene wasn't in the squad yesterday, so he got a little bit of a knock. It's one of those, isn't it? We're not quite sure, but now with Carlos coming back, we've got some options to utilize. I mean, few comments coming in. James says Bogard started 3 and we win 3. Give the lad a chance. Absolutely. Adam says,
we're not knocking him. Not knocking him at all.
No, 100%. Bogard at fullback, then Machine right wing is really not for me. McGinn right wing is really not for me. And Rachel said Emery sees something in Bogard and is trying to develop him. If it works out, then brilliant. If not, then we know. I don't know if there's more to come. Cash has said by the Munich game he'll be back. So maybe a couple of weeks. Nick says,
Yeah.
I think Carlos came on for tactical reasons for his long ball game. It was badly needed and he delivered.
Mm,
Gary says, Carlos is back playing, but you never know what to expect with him.
that's
And
true.
I think you actually hit the nail on the head, Martin. And we talked about this on the Everton reaction show
Mm,
about the decisive changes with Unai Emery. 2 games in a row where he's made substitutions at half time and they've had a real impact on the game. Barkley coming on at half time for Onana on
yeah.
Saturday, and Carlos coming on at half time for Bogard. And it's never a case of these players are playing badly as such. It's just a case of we need something tactically to change, or we need to steady the ship in a certain way, or we need to get
Mm.
better in terms of a certain way of playing the game or in ball possession. There's always some sort of reason for it, and that's decisive management.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the reason why we have a squad now, because we've always said on this podcast that Villa for years is always a good 11, maybe 2 good players on the bench. Now it's a squad. So now Emery has options on the bench to go, right, here's what's going to happen. I need to change it here. And he has his options straight away to be able to do that. Where, excuse me, where last season he probably couldn't. So this year now he's really done it. Like with Onana coming off at halftime, I felt that was a sub to make in that game because I felt maybe Onana was a little bit nervous playing against his old club, which can happen to players. So I felt that was really a good change to make because we were trying to go through the middle too much against Everton when we should have just went around them because a typical Sean Dyche team, they stay compact in the middle of the pitch. And then when we put on Barkley, he was stretching Everton and Tielemans as well, by getting it out into wide areas, bringing out fullbacks, bringing out centre backs, and creating spaces. Then by coming into the middle, which was working, hence why we probably won the game. And then the game against Young Boys, we were getting targeted on our right side and they were getting so much joy for the first 15, 20 minutes. And it was only for the first 15, 20 minutes where they were getting so much joy. And of course, Bogart then came into the game, but Emery probably felt because John McGinn actually said it in the post-match interview that when Villarreal was there, they were 2-0 up and then they lost 3-2. So he went on to a more caution approach. So maybe that probably what it was, a more caution approach to the game. Hence why Carlos came in and Conte went in to have an experienced back four coming into that second half, which paid its due dividends.
Absolutely. Look, as you say, George, no one's knocking Lamar Bogan. It's great to see young players getting an opportunity and playing 3 games in a row. Him making his Champions League debut. This guy will be absolutely buzzing.
He couldn't have
And
expected this a few weeks ago, could he?
no, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Just touching on before we really single out a couple of players in particular for their performances. Emi Martinez, finally a clean sheet, as Martin's named this picture. But it's great. It's great that we did. Not only did we win comfortably in Europe, George, getting that result 3-0, scoring 3 goals, but actually getting that clean sheet will be massive for Emery, for Emi Martinez, and for that defence.
Yeah, definitely. We've gone on quite a long run, haven't we, without getting one. I think it was that ninth game, and we finally managed to get one. And yeah, as I always say, good teams are built on their defence, and we can't sort of keep conceding 2 goals a game and keep expecting to sort of still win. So yeah, I mean the clean sheet is always welcome, and hopefully we can get ourselves another one Saturday against Wolves.
Yes, that would be amazing. Before we move on to single out a couple of players, we're approaching 200 watching on X and on YouTube, but we want to keep our viewership growing. So make sure you like the video if you haven't already. Follow us on X at Villa Park Pod, at Marto Leonardo, and at Fowler Legend. And if you can also subscribe to the channel, help us on the road to 5,000 subscribers, getting very, very close to that 4,700. So not much more to get to that magic 5,000. So please help, like and subscribe, and help this channel grow. So we've talked a bit about Jacob Ramsey getting back to his old self, but the link up between him and a certain Morgan Rogers, and this guy is just continuing to wow and amaze people in equal measure. I mean, every time certain pundits take a little bit of notice of Aston Villa, Morgan Rogers seems to just put on a show, and when he's running with the ball, Martin, it is just incredible at the moment. Nobody can stop him. There was one moment in the first half where he just ran from his halfway line, literally with a young boy on his back. I was going to say, but a young boy's player on his back, literally, and tried to pull him down twice. And he just carried on running, and then ended up putting a cross in for Ollie Watkins. I think the shot got blocked, but when this guy gets in full flow, he's an absolute sight to behold.
Oh, it's incredible. Like you seen Crouchy and Rio Ferdinand there when they were talking to John McGinn. It's like, how good is Morgan Rogers, by the way? Because we were both jumping off our seats when he was running at people and everything else. And obviously Crouchy, who played for Villa, but Rio Ferdinand with no association, of course, he's jumping off his feet because Morgan Rogers is running at people. He's getting into great spaces. He's playing incredible balls in behind the back. You know, like they're clearly jumping now with joy at this player, and it's probably not going to be long before these pundits start linking them with the top 6 teams, of course. But
yeah,
just going to say that.
You know,
that's George's worry. I knew he was going to get worried about that.
Yeah, it was an old cliche, and I'm worried about it now myself.
And he's due a pay rise as well. I'm stressing about that.
Yeah, you're paying him now, George, right? You're paying him, not me. You are, right? So, but he's absolutely such an incredible talent. And you know what annoys me a little bit? There's only just one. It's not really a criticism, but just a narky little thing with me. I want him to have a shot. He's getting into an area where he can hit one, and he's making a pass when I don't even think he should. Like, be greedy a little bit. Look what Duran and Onana have done. They've took a chance from outside the box and absolutely buried it into the back of net. He has the ability to do it as well. Beat a few players, and if it's on, have a go. Like, it just goes to show that we've now got players that can take each other on, score thunderbolts of a goal, and just, it's so magical to watch now. And like, I think Morgan Rogers just needs to do that. Like, still do everything else that you do, and it's great, and you're playing absolutely brilliantly. But don't be afraid to have a shot from range. It's there for you. Or when you get yourself into the box and you can clearly have a shot, and he's trying to make a pass when it's not even on, have a go. See what happens. If it comes out for a rebound and we get a goal, that's what happens. Take a chance yourself, lad. Like, he probably is a little bit unselfish, which is great to see, but be a little bit greedy. Why not?
Yeah. And Adam took the words out of my mouth. I was just about to say, George, that it's nice to see us taking shots from far out. I mean, the John Duran one was probably a little bit extreme, but we'll give him that one. But, you know, Onana taking shots from outside the box. I think Tielemans had a shot from outside the box. You know, we've got players who can, and Martin's right. You know, Morgan Rogers just needs to work on that. Sometimes he hits that shot and he doesn't quite get the power on it or the technique, and it's going straight to the goalkeeper. If he can just work on that part of his game, I think he'll be. I mean, he's already a brilliant player, but you know, he will be truly.
He's setting his standards up now, and it's going to get even higher.
Be on the next level, won't he, George?
Yeah, he's great. He's been great to watch. You know, big, powerful, strong player, isn't he? Just goes with the ball, as you say, and people can't seem to stop him. Like, I agree with what you said there, Martin, about having a shot. But also sometimes I think he's done his energy by the time he gets into the box, because
that's true. Yeah, there is that element.
Near the halfway line, and he'll get to where he needs to go, and the concentration kind of disappears at the wrong time. You know, sometimes there's good, like Saturday, I think once or twice there was a good chance for an easy pass, but he'd blown himself out by then and couldn't quite do it. And you're sort of thinking that was amazing, that run, but in the end it's sort of proved pointless because the final ball or the final shot is not quite there. But again, young boy, isn't he? And it's all going to come. I think we've got an absolute gem on our hands there. And when his final game comes together, we're going to have one hell of a player.
Well, you look at it now, George, you've got Ramsey and Rogers who really link in well together. You've got Leon Bailey to come back in. You've got Jaden Philogene once he gets into a rhythm. And you've got Emi Buendia who came on yesterday. And the last couple of little cameos for Emi Buendia, he's looking pretty sharp. You know, he's made a few nice little passes. He's playing nice and high up the pitch. He's not coming too deep and trying to get on it. He's actually pressing high up the pitch and created a couple of chances yesterday as well.
Very, very impressive against Everton, I felt. He was very impressive against Everton.
I think our midfield is absolutely stacked, like up there with the best midfields in the league. While everyone's fit, as I keep saying, injuries will probably creep in. But at the minute, God almighty, look at the options we've got. There's not many teams that are going to compete with what we've got in the central, well, just the midfield, right across the midfield.
Yeah, 100%.
George, don't be wishing any injuries on the squad, right? Because you
I'm not, mate. No.
You wished 2 injuries the last time. Matty Cash got one, and then another player got one. I can't remember. Bailey got one, and then Cobb got. So Zip it.
No more injuries. I don't want any.
No more.
Yeah.
Now we talk about the midfield being stacked, and we say the best till last. Martin, I mean this guy at the moment, Youri Tielemans, is absolutely playing out of his skin at the moment, and Douglas Luiz moving on, whether it's to do with that, whether it's to do with playing alongside Amadou Onana, whether it's just getting a bit more fitness and regular games. But at this moment in time, I can't think of a better midfielder in the Premier League, maybe even in Europe at the moment on form. He is just absolutely flying at the minute.
Oh, when I was watching him against Everton, don't get me wrong, when we're watching it on telly, we see how good it is. But when you're watching it there and then in Villa Park, I was watching Tielemans probably for a few minutes, and the way he moves, not even just with the ball, but without it, he gets himself into such smart positions because he's not exactly the quickest player. We all know that. But he gets himself into such smart positions to get away from the opposition player, to create space for himself, creating space for other people, getting the balls in between the line from transition of defense to midfield and midfield into attack. He's playing like he's unplayable at this minute. Like him and Morgan Rogers for me are our best players this season so far. Yes, you could say John Duran because of his impact on the goals, of course, but for me, Rogers and Tielemans are the two best players in this team, and Tielemans for me is the best. He's tipping it because he's got a brilliant finish against young boys. He's so crucial in how when we get the ball to him, he doesn't panic, and that was something I really noticed against Everton. He didn't panic anytime he got the ball. He got the ball in such tight spaces, and his first touch was getting away from nearly 2 or 3 players, and he's just so smart up here. He just knows where to be, what his next move has to be, what his next pass has to be, where can he receive the ball. Those are all little things that are just so crucial in that level of the game, and Tielemans is just playing to that unbelievably well.
Yeah, 100%. I saw a tweet, and I think it was something like Middlesbrough fans said Morgan Rogers was rubbish, and when we signed him, Everton fans said Amadou Onana was not good enough when we signed him, and Leicester fans said Tielemans was too fat and lazy when we signed him. And now
Yeah, remember that video they had of Tielemans when he was trying to track back, and he was like really like doing this, like obviously probably in the 90-minute blown out, and now look what they're all doing.
The three of them are probably our best players, George. Who else is Unai Emery going to sign that a player a club are going to say is crap, but we're just going to make them into a world-class player? I'm looking forward to the next player.
That's it. Who knows? I mean, the common denominator there with everything you said is the manager, isn't it? Tielemans come out and said the other day, he goes, I thought I knew about football, but Emery is teaching me, even at like 26, 27, whatever age he is, he's teaching me stuff about the game I never even thought of. And he's clearly enjoying his football. I always said last year, Tielemans was just a good player, a 7 out of 10 at everything. But at the moment, he's notched everything up to like an 8. And that's over like 4 or 5 different qualities. He is, that notches, that makes you a very, very good player in form. And he's probably hitting the peak of his career now. And absolutely thriving at the moment. And it's lovely to see because we're certainly benefiting from that.
Yeah, CC with a nice comment. I think it's all just clicked for Youri. His fitness, confidence in understanding Emery's way of playing, having Onana there, and as importantly, has a better understanding of his teammates and vice versa. And I also just think that the way that Unai Emery likes to play, for some reason, I just think it's better suited to Youri Tielemans. I think Unai sees that as well than to Douglas Luiz. With the greatest respect to Douglas Luiz, I always felt like, and you knew this, George, that Luiz liked to control the game and was good at kind of maybe setting a tempo, but when it needed to be quickened up, he wasn't always the greatest at doing that. Like sometimes he wanted to take that extra touch, or it might be like a little chest pass down to someone to that might be a little bit too showy, if you like, for Unai Emery. Whereas Tielemans is right. I'm going to do everything in 1, 2, or maximum of 3 touches. He hardly ever takes any more than 3 touches, and that's, I think, the way that Emery wants to play. And a lot of his passes are going forwards, or if he's doing like a backwards pass or sideways pass, it's generally done 1 touch and then he's moved it to the next space. And I think that's how Emery likes his midfielders to be.
It's funny, isn't it? It's been good for us in many ways, like playing it quicker and Tielemans, as you say, getting his passes off 1-2 and quick. But there has also been times like I found in the Arsenal game, second half of the Leicester game, pieces of the West Ham game as well, where I still can see what we're missing with Luiz's departure. So it's
Barkley maybe can provide that, that kind of experience.
When Barkley come on,
yeah,
against Everton, he that was the Luiz of last year, wasn't it? The way he played, and you can see there's still room for that quality in our side. But yeah, it's different horses for courses, as they say, isn't it?
Definitely. But yeah, a wonderful performance from Youri Tielemans and a great baptism into the Champions League. And just to finish up on the game and everything surrounding the game, obviously, it was a wonderful tribute to Gary Shaw. We mentioned it just there with the touch of Tielemans, the number 8, scoring the first goal back in the Champions League. Gary Shaw wearing the number 8, and Unai Emery dedicating the win to Gary Shaw as well. The fans out there, Martin, in Bern, singing his name right the way through the game. I mean, I don't think it could have been a better tribute to an Aston Villa legend.
No, you couldn't have asked for a better tribute, of course. Like, with the fans singing, Ian Taylor standing in the pub in Bern and, doing a lovely speech. And obviously, I think he was at a balcony area as well, doing a lovely speech. So there was a whole tribute that few days for Gary Shaw. And then the first player to score being number 8, it's something that's nearly written in the stars, as you could say. And then to go and get a 3-0 win away from home, clean sheet, tributes to Gary Shaw all round. And then, it's heartbreaking. He was still only in his 60s. We probably still plenty to live for. You could only wish he was here witnessing all these, Champions League games, because he's one of the last members that was in the Champions League for Aston Villa, of course. So this would have been something that, for him and his family, which would have been so heartbreaking that he's missing it. And, John McGinn, when he had his post-match interview, he did a lovely tribute to Gary Shaw, saying that he met him a couple of times, that he was a great influence for him. And just, talking about how Emery as well, like when they were in the dressing room, said that, look, we've lost one of our heroes. We need to go out and put performance in for him and for the fans, because they've been giving tributes all week for him. So it was just something that was written in the stars. And then, like I said, for Tielemans to go and get a goal, it's all just a lovely tribute all round. And, that one there was definitely for Gary Shaw.
100%, mate. And George, thinking about ahead, either winning the Champions League, Bayern Munich, and a daunting task, having won their last game 9-2 last night, but an absolute a poignant time to be playing them, obviously with the sad passing of Gary Shaw, the memories that game brings in terms of us beating them in the European Cup, him being a massive part of that. And it is going to be an absolutely special night at Villa Park, isn't it?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Written in the stars, this fixture, wasn't it? To get Bayern Munich, the opponents in our greatest ever day and the greatest ever triumph, in a European final. So it's going to be a very special night. Yeah, obviously the sad death of Gary Shaw is what it leaves sort of a it's like a black cloud over it, isn't it? It's very sad timing, and obviously, legend at Villa, slightly before my time. But I've been watching a lot of footage this week, hearing a lot of his the ex-players that were around with him. And I like listening to Matt Kendrick, who done a beautiful tribute to him. He got a bit teared up talking about him, but he just showed you what he meant to, the Villa fans, like the generation older than us. And he was one of Villa's own, wasn't he? Brummy boy, sort of, lived the dream, done it all. Apparently he was, by 22, he took some bad injuries and was, wasn't the same player after. But God knows what he could have gone on to after that. But absolutely, brilliant, and just sad that he wasn't around to witness our return to the big time last night. But that just seems to be the way life goes, isn't it? But onto the game. Looking forward to it immensely. It's going to be a big test for us, isn't it? With Munich in the form they're in. But is it a free hit for us? I think we just got to enjoy the night, just go for it, and you never know. It might be one of them special occasions.
I think it is a free hit, Martin, and I think it's a game that we can go into with a little bit of confidence now. We've got a win under our belts. I think Rachel was talking about maybe 10 points or something being enough to kind of get you into that playoff stage. So, it's one of those. If you get the win, you're 6 points. You're over halfway there to kind of getting through that group. If you get beat, we know we've got 6 more games to get those points. So let's go and have a go at it. Let's make it a real special night, and let's really go for it.
Yeah, you could say it's a free hit, but at the same time, I think that I think it's a great chance because we only play teams once now. Like, I think if we go out, give absolutely everything that we can, and try and get ourselves a result, I think we can beat them. I really do. I don't fear anyone anymore. Like, when we had that week, remember when it was Man City and Arsenal, and people were optimistic. There was probably some bit nervous because it's Man City, Arsenal, and we're going to get 6 points and 2 clean sheets. Like, I just think that we can beat Bayern Munich. I mean, yeah, fair enough. They won 9-2 against relatively, in terms of maybe Champions League standard, not a great side, but they still put 9 in the back of the net. They still made a statement of intent that they're here to win the Champions League. But I just think that we can beat Bayern, and I think if we beat Bayern, I think we can beat them within a goal or two. Like, I really do. I think we've got a good manager with good European pedigree. And we've, yes, Bayern Munich are probably the European giants, as you could say, but we're Aston Villa. We love being the underdogs. Like, we love being under the radar. So I say bring Bayern on. Really, I do.
Yeah, well, look, they conceded a couple of goals yesterday. I know they scored 9. I think Harry Kane got three penalties, but I'm sure, like I say, I think all of the emotion and all of the occasion of it all will be just huge, and I think it will make sure that Villa put on a performance and really take it to Bayern Munich. And yeah, I think in terms of it be not necessarily being a free hit in terms of us having the opportunity to win and the chance to win, I absolutely agree with you. I think it's in terms of the situation for the table and the pressure being off, because we've got that win under our belts, because we know we've got Bruges or Monaco, and Celtic have looked good tonight at home, but we've
they won 5-1.
We've got them at home. So, and Bologna as well, we know we've got them at home. So every team's going to have a different challenge. Every team's going to be a different experience, and we don't know where we're going to be at that point of the season. But in terms of the way that we set up, George, with Unai Emery, as the coach, being that a European football expert, knowing specifically how to target each game, we've got the best man at the helm, and we've got a good chance, really, of doing something good in this tournament.
Yeah, of course we have, mate. God, you're not going to get a sort of. There's not many managers left in Europe now with the pedigree that Emery's got, is there? We're literally at the top level of what we can get. So yeah, trust him, mate. He's been there and done it. Just look forward to see what happens.
Absolutely. I just want to shout out again, we've got a couple of days of this competition to go. And if you do want an opportunity to be at this match, then please do go to our friends at Football Prizes website and search for the Aston Villa competition, because you can purchase your ticket for a chance to win 2 hospitality tickets to the Aston Villa versus Bayern Munich game in the Champions League. Obviously, it includes watching the game, but you also get the bar, you also get food, an ex-players Q&A, and obviously it'll be a special occasion, and obviously all of the match build-up as well. There's just over 100 tickets available, so you haven't got long to get your ticket to have a chance of winning. Just under 2 days left. Friday the 20th of September is the closing date at 7:30. So if you do want your chance to win, visit footballprizes.co.uk. The link is in the description, and go to the Aston Villa prize and purchase your ticket for your chance to win this fantastic prize. Few questions and stuff, and if anyone has questions, comments, anything, this is the Fans Forum. Obviously, it's usually a Tuesday night, but we moved it to tonight to talk about the game, and also we always wanted to watch the game as well and reflect on it. Lewis has asked a question related to the game a little bit as well, and this does relate to our 500th show competition. Can we talk about the third kit? I actually really liked it. I thought it was really smart with the acorns as well as the sponsor. What did you boys think of it?
I think it's lovely. I really like it. Fair enough, when we see a picture of it and everything else, people will probably think, oh, it looks a bit like Man United, but I don't care what it looks like. That is a lovely jersey. It's really nice. It's really smart, and it's a bit different. Like we've always had this. Maybe claret and blue, obviously for home, white, and then the third was like black. Like, so this was for me probably the best jersey out of the three of them, because it's just something a little bit different.
Yeah, George, will you be purchasing it, or will you wait until it goes down in price? What are your thoughts?
I'm warming to it. I didn't like the look of it when on the release day. I don't know, there's something about it I didn't like. But I like the fact that it's silver stripes and not white, right? They obviously look white in all the pictures.
It's silver. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's a bit Scotland, isn't it? I think from what I heard early days that this was like a kind of a nod to William McGregor, obviously in our 150th year, and he founded the league and everything, and he was a Scotsman himself. So you can understand that. Yeah, it's okay. I've already bought the home and the away, and yeah, I'll give this one a bit of thought. I might wait till this one goes down, because they're not cheap this year, are they?
No, they're not. And do you know what? I'm going to the game on Saturday. I'll be down in Birmingham, and I'm very tempted. I've bought my first bit of Aston Villa merch in terms of kit or training kit in the last, I don't know how many years. I bought the black training top. So I'm very, very close to purchasing a Villa shirt, and I think I might
You might have to sell a
potentially get
kidney.
it on Saturday.
You might have to sell a kidney, Rich.
I know, and then all
what
that
one are you going to get, Rich?
Well, I really like the third kit. I really like it. Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah, I like that color, and I like the silver. I think that's a really nice touch. But then I love the training gear as well. I really do. So yeah, I thought it was a nice and the acorns thing was a really, really good touch as well. I thought that was good. And you know what? It probably looks better with acorns on it, rather than the Betano. But yeah. But yeah, I thought it was really nice, and I think for obviously Adidas, we know it gives it that little bit of panache. It gives it that little bit of kudos having like a big name like Adidas as part of the kit. And I know they're a bit safe in terms of the designs, but I do think they've done a pretty good job with the kits this year. I'm not sure your thoughts. You're usually a bit of an aficionado of the kits, George. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd agree with that, actually. I think the away one's really grown on me since I bought it. It was nicer in the actual flesh. Home one I really liked straight away. The away one's grown on me. I like that now. And yeah, this third one, I'll have to have a look at that in the flesh as well. But yeah, all nice kits. The I've just ordered as well. The sort of dark green and the luminous half zip top.
Yes,
that's that should be coming tomorrow or the day after.
Yeah. Hey,
I've done a few.
These postmen, they get paid a fair whack, don't they? Look at this.
I hope my missus ain't listening to this.
You need an update from the Under Armour kit you have there, George. Anyway,
I love this, mate. I've had this for years. Yeah, God, I will actually show everyone my collection sometime, because I've got a hell of a lot of stuff. I'll get myself a little clothes rail out here and put all the old shirts and that on and stuff. Yeah, loads of gear.
Yeah, well, look. Good stuff. Well, I think the kits are great, and I think it's a good time for us to announce, as it is our 500th show, and I will ask you in a minute, boys, to comment on that. It's our 500th video across the channel, whether that be a live show, whether that be a pre-record, or some of the older stuff we've done. And we do want to do a little bit of a giveaway. I actually didn't realize until I looked at the channel and I looked, across, and I was setting up the show for tonight, and it said 499 videos. And I messaged you boys, and I was like, "Do you realize this is going to be our 500th show?"
Yeah,
and it goes
time
so
flying by,
quickly.
isn't it?
Yeah, it goes so quickly, and it is amazing to think. And everyone, we keep saying every time we hit a milestone, it's fantastic. We get so much support from people. People say hello to us at matches and everything like that, and everyone comments on all the videos and stuff, which is just fantastic. So we do want to do a little bit of a giveaway, and I was trying to think of how to get people involved and how to get everyone an opportunity. So we're going to give away a Villa shirt of their choice to the winner. So you can have the home shirt, you could choose the away shirt, or you could choose the third shirt, which are all really nice. You can have a name on the back. You can have the Champions League badges if they're available. You could have it however you feel. What we want you to do now, you must listen to this. What we want you to do is make sure that you like the video. So you have to have liked the video, which I'm sure everyone watching has done. But if you're watching it on repeat and you're listening to this, make sure you like the video. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. So you must be subscribed to the channel, and you must comment on the video after we've finished. So not now, not in the live chat. Comment on the video. We all follow the Villa. That's what you need to do. We want to get that trending. So just to clarify, you have to, once we've finished the show, you need to have made sure you've liked the video. You need to make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and then you need to comment, not in the live chat that we're on now, but comment in the video afterwards. We all follow the Villa, and then I will do the draw on the match reaction show after the Wolves game on Sunday night. We'll do that live. Okay, is that clear? Did I explain myself, George?
Yeah,
Martin,
yeah,
could you get that?
Yeah, I got it. So when I win my jersey, I mean when my dad wins his jersey.
I will remind everyone at the end. Quick question from Kay. I don't know if this is Kevin or if it's just another person. Could you see a Mings, Konsa, Ramsey, Rogers, and Watkins spine for England? George, being the England supporter.
I'm logging out. Bye bye.
I'm jealous, mate. I think Mings' time has probably come and gone, unfortunately for him. He's, what's he now, 31, 32? He had his little spell playing for England, did he? And he didn't let anyone down. Done well, got a few caps, played I can't remember if it was a World Cup or Euros, but I know he started at least 2 games and did well. But, you know, there's other options there now, isn't there? So I can't see Mings playing for England again myself. But Konsa, since he's got in, he's done well. He's impressed. In fact, he's done better than well, I would say. Rogers is an absolute shoo-in at some stage. Once he gets his chance, hopefully he'll take it. And Jacob Ramsey, who knows? He needs a prolonged level of fitness and playing time. And yeah, you know, the world's his oyster as well. So yeah, you never know.
Yeah. No, it's exciting times, George. Martin, maybe not necessarily for you and your team, but from an Aston Villa perspective, in terms of international honours, you know, we Jaden Philogene as well as part of the England under-21s. Ross Barkley, you know, if he gets his way into the first team and is a regular, there was talk of him, you know, last season getting his way into the England team. We've got a fair few players that could be on the verge of England call-ups again.
Yeah, so just to be clear, from an Aston Villa perspective, that I wouldn't be against the fact that the lads flourish for England. I wouldn't. I want to see our players develop into the biggest stages, whether they're in the World Cup, the Euros, Nations League, doesn't matter what it is, international levels, that you want to see them playing in the big games for their country, you know, and that's all bias on my side, you know, but like you want to see them do it, like from an Aston Villa point of view, which, you know, Ollie Watkins, like in the summer, getting his moment in the Euros. Konsa, when he come on, people were raving about Konsa, and it's like, this Konsa fella's actually pretty good, and we've been saying it all year. So like Aston Villa players now, a lot of clubs are Lee Carsey, who's in charge obviously at the minute, he'll probably look at Aston Villa and go, geez, there's a lot of options here. Like there's a lot of options. Like there's
He was there Saturday, Carsley, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was there. He was there Saturday. Yeah, I remember seeing that it came up on the screen, and I think some people booed him because he didn't sing the national anthem, and then some people booed him because he sat in the Ireland dugout first. So it was a bit of a cliche with him at the minute, but he never sang the Irish national anthem, funny enough, when he was playing for Ireland, out of respect to England. So he's been a bit of a catch-22 moment there, obviously, in that first game, but getting back to his options, like his options there for Villa is incredible. So he's going to look at that and go, there's so many there. And he's probably thinking to himself, he can't bring them all because of certain players in different clubs he might want to try. So it's great to see from an Aston Villa point of view that we have now players that can play at an international level, not just for England, but in any competitive area. So like it's just, it really is good to see. And then from an Irish point of view, forget about them.
Yeah, yeah. The less said about them, the better. But yeah, I mean, it's such an exciting time to come for so many players, and just reverting back to kind of the European experience, George. I mean, some of the players. I think Luca Dean was the most experienced with something like 24 appearances. Tielemans had 20, but the number of players on that pitch with top international experience, and the likes of Emi Martinez has won major honors. Now, yes, players might not have Champions League experience, but once they got over that initial sort of 10-15 minutes, you could see that Villa are a real good outfit and a strong outfit in terms of big game experience now.
Yeah, it's just a proper side with proper players in it now, isn't it? You've got a fair few players there at a good age that have been there and done it, as you said. Martinez now, I think he's into his 30s. Tielemans been about for years. Who else is there? We've got
Luca Dean, Ross
Luca
Barkley.
Dean's, yeah, exactly. They've all
Onana's
been there and
played
done it.
Champions League, but I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily, like you said, it doesn't have to necessarily be champion. I mean, Ollie Watkins, but he scored in the FA Cup in the Euro Championship
Yeah,
semi-final. So sometimes, yes, it's great. Obviously it's an advantage to have players who have played in Champions League games before, but we have got that experience. We have got that big game experience, and I think moving into this tournament further down the line, and having played in the Conference League last season, I mean,
that's a big help.
I would argue that Ajax, Lille, and Olympiacos were better teams than Young Boys.
Yeah, but
I
it's the
don't know what
quality
you
of the
thought.
league, though, isn't it? Like young
Yeah.
boys win the Swiss League, so they get to the Champions League, where these other teams, yeah, they are better than young boys, but if they don't win their prospective leagues, they don't go to the Champions League, they go somewhere else. So different leagues do different formats, probably because of the coefficients of them. So you are right, Rich. I do agree with you. They are better teams than young boys.
And a lot
But
of
due
it's the
to
occasion, like you
coefficients.
said earlier, Mark. If you can play the occasion, like yesterday, the way we started, I was thinking, oh God, this is going to be like the European away games last year, which didn't really go great for us on the whole. And I thought, don't what's the word? Sort of don't sink with the big loud crowd.
come to the occasion, because then otherwise it'll go past you and then you get punished.
Yeah, but obviously, it all changed once we scored that goal. They all grew, didn't they? And after that, it was like you could see the belief in the boys. And yeah, hopefully now we know we belong at this level, and we can go to these away games and put on a bit of a show and just look like we belong at the top table.
Absolutely. Well, look, long may that continue. I think that calls it a night. I think brilliant performance last night.
I do just have one more little bit of news, though.
Go on, Martin.
Bundy Aki, who plays for Ireland national rugby team, is an Aston Villa fan.
There we go. That ends the show. I've never heard of him,
that, mate.
But yeah, I was.
Never heard of him. He had England on the pedestal. Would you go away?
No, I'm sorry, I've never heard of him. Yeah, but look, we can
only follow England when the futures, lads.
We can use all the Villa fans that we want. We can get, and I'm sure he was buzzing of yesterday's performance as well. But yeah, I mean, brilliant way to finish it. Brilliant way to start our Champions League journey, and hopefully bring on Wolves on Saturday. We will be back with our match preview on Friday evening. I'll also have the Wolves Fancast channel on for our In the Away End opposition preview. That will be on Friday afternoon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. As I say, our 500th video. Thank you so much for your support. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and make sure you comment on the video afterwards. We all follow the Villa, and you can enter into the competition to win your choice of Aston Villa shirt. Are you going to go for the home? Are you going to go for the away? Or are you going to go for the third shirt? Lads, thank you very much for jumping on tonight. Thank you everyone for watching, and as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.